Who is the most unexpected person you had sex with? Story 1. While on the men's rowing team at college, I hooked up with the women's coach for a while. Didn't really see that happening. Story 2. I've got two that were very unexpected to me. I was about 19 or 20 and was dating a girl for about a year, and she just finished 2 years of community college and decided to go to University of Hawaii. She went to visit to see if she would even like it, and I ended up finding out she cheated on me, and one of the main reasons why she chose Hawaii was to be with this other guy. I ended up breaking up with her when she got back, and I got a call from her best friend saying, "Hey, I know you and blank broke up. Do you want to come over and talk to clear your head?" So I took her up, and she lived literally around the corner from my ex's parents. It was just a talk, I said. Well, it's getting late, so I better head off. I get in my car and get a call immediately saying, "Hey, you forgot something." And I didn't forget anything. It was just a ploy for me to have sex with her. She ended up saying she didn't really like her so-called best friend / my ex. This ended up going on nearly every day for about a year. She ended up moving away a few states over, unfortunately. My second unexpected one was that I moved to Europe when I was 22 or 23. After about a year of being here, a friend came and visited. We did a little European tour, and one of our stops was Oktoberfest. We spent most of the day drinking. He ended up drinking too much, so I took him back to our Airbnb, and the people we were with told me to come back, so I did. I have no idea how I managed to do so, but this beautiful German girl and I tried communicating as I only speak English, and she was only able to speak German, and very broken English. The night is ending. I say my goodbyes, and her friends ask if I can walk her home as it's on the way to my Airbnb, just to make sure she gets home safe. 1 a.m. using a lot of Google Translate. We are laughing, end up getting some food. We get to her flat and she opens the door and says, come in for one last drink. So I do so. We weren't really talking coherently, but we're seeming to just enjoy each other's company. She goes to the bathroom, comes back out naked, and we end up having sex a few times, falling asleep. My friend is due to leave back to the US later that evening, and my flight was a few hours after him. The German girl and I exchange numbers, thinking I'd never see her again. I say my goodbyes to my friend and send him his way to the airport. I give this girl a text with Google Translate basically saying, I really enjoyed spending time with you. Our time together was short but enjoyable. She asks if I can come back over, so I decide to not go get my flight as I felt like I was in love. I end up staying with her for 2 more days. Tons of sex and laughing, also trying to understand one another. I can honestly say it's probably one of the best times of my life. We parted ways, we still keep in contact every so often. She is fluent in English now, and we've seen each other a few times. We are both recently single again, and plan on seeing each other in October time. Story 3. My second shift supervisor. I was first shift supervisor. I don't know how it even happened. We worked at a notorious building, I guess you could say. We did security. The building was always empty for its size. There wasn't too many people, and we had the keys to go anywhere. We did it on the roof with a city view, in the office bathroom, in a huge storage room in our boss's office. The craziest part is I really never saw it coming. He was a sneaky one. He really buttered me up and gained my trust before even busting a move at all. What started off as a rooftop fuck turned into insatiable lust that I'll honestly remember for the rest of my life. Story 4. On Halloween, I dressed as a girl from the original Star Trek. I had sex with a random guy dressed as Spock. Still a high point of mine. Story 5. 44-year-old woman from North California. I was 23 at the time. Best sex I ever had. Everything else after felt like cheap. No brand snacks after a few times with her. Story 6. A coworker at summer camp. I liked her a lot, but I was too afraid to make a move. A bunch of us went to a friend coworker's place for the weekend, and on Saturday night she walked in and laid down next to me on the air mattress. Me, being clueless, was like, hey, and she just sits up, straddles me, and starts kissing me. It went from there, and it was fun. I'm a heavy dude though, and at some point the air mattress cap popped off and it deflated. Took me a minute to realize that I was just laying on the floor. She went to the bathroom to clean up, and I got the air pump to reinflate the mattress. And I guess everyone else heard. Story 7. My wife the other day was 95% sure we were just going to go to sleep. Story 8. I went on a cruise to the Caribbean by myself when I was 25. I met a recently divorced 42 years old mom of 3. The last night of the cruise also by herself. We stayed up the entire night the last night in my room. She skipped her flight the next day, and I drove her to Atlanta where she lived from the port of Miami. We got a hotel downtown and all night. I took her to her car at the Atlanta airport the next morning and will never see her again. Story 9. The camp counselor I had a crush on when I was 11. I ended up running into her when I was 18. Didn't know it was her until we got to pillow talk. Best surprise ever. Story 10. Pastor's daughter. 19, she was 22, and we ran the youth camp together. As soon as the kids were asleep, we got biblical. God, she was hot. Story 11. I guess one of my teachers after I graduated, or one woman who I would clash with all the time that I knew from work. Story 12. Had a girl at work I was certain hated my guts, but I helped her out with moving because she was in a bad situation and I knew a couple of cops on the force and got them to pull out the stops and give her enough time and space to move her shit into her car and leave town. She was cute, but because she was so hot and cold about me, I really didn't think much about her. She texted me like a week later after she moved cross country if I'd be her boyfriend. I said no because while I care about her as a human being, she had a track record of treating me poorly at work, and I wasn't going to get with someone who I'm not convinced actually likes me as a person, or someone who can't consistently show they respect me. She claimed she had been head over heels for me most of the time we worked together and didn't know how to deal with those feelings. Then later I got a bunch of "I really want to suck your dick" texts. Being crazy attractive and wanting it badly doesn't mean you're gonna get it. Story 13. We called last call at the bar I worked at, and this one older woman I'd thrown a flirt at took my hand and asked if there was somewhere we could make out. We went into the alley out back and just went to town. What made it unexpected was I had jokingly said to my friend earlier, before work, that I wanted to bang a MILF. Story 14. Female best friend's best friend. She always hated me for some reason. Ended up hooking up throughout high school though. Story 15. I was at a college Halloween party dressed as Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty, and a girl dressed in a full bandana suit had sex with me in the bathroom. Neither of us took our costumes off. I don't even know who she is. Story 16. A girl from my college. Keep in mind that I was a fat, ugly bastard back then, and still now. And this girl just kept showing interest in me up to the point we had sex for a few months and she paid for the hotels and dinners and all. She's light years out of my league, so it still confuses me up to this moment. Edit. Grammar. Story 17. My friend's sister. She is hot, so I guess why not? It happened 7 years ago. Now we are married for 4 years. Yeah. That friend is actually still my best friend. Story 18. My sister's college roommate. I hated that bitch, still do. Story 19. My boss when I was 19. She was the manager and talked me into being her love for a raise. Story 20. This hot-ass bartender who was absolutely out of my league when he asked what else are you doing tonight. In a friendly, I want to be tipped well kind of way, and I said you. And he said I like that plan. Here's my address. Story 21. A week after my wife said that she wanted a divorce, I went on a vacation to Costa Rica that we were supposed to do together. I used it for some grieving time and figuring out what to do with my life. I was not interested in dating or hookups or rebounds. But then I started talking to this other American girl in line at the ice cream shop. And then we met up for dinner. And then we stayed up late drinking. And then we had sex on our raincoats in the jungle. Luckily, she had condoms. It was real nice. That was 11 years ago. We've been married for 7, and our daughter is 3. Story 22. My boyfriend. We were friends for years, and I had a huge crush on him, but I felt like it was having a crush on a teacher. Completely useless. So I never gave it away because I didn't want to embarrass myself. He watched me go through a few different failed relationships and run around unmedicated with bipolar. While we got along great and hung out once in a while, I assumed he thought I was an unpredictable idiot. In 2020, the relationship I was in crashed and burned. I finally got diagnosed and medicated. A few months later, he invited me over for a beer after work, which wasn't unusual. But to my extreme surprise, he made a move on me, and we've been together ever since. I never imagined it would ever happen. It's a very happy, healthy relationship, but every now and then, I'm struck with disbelief it's actually happening. In a good way. Story 23. A coworker/female best friend. We had an awesome friendship. We'd fool around if bored or curious, but one night working at a Halloween train where you put on horse skits as a small train goes by. Out of absolute nowhere, I want to blow you as the train goes by. I'm like, shut up nerd, and she gets in position behind this fake. Dr. Table. Train goes by. Passengers wondering what's scary about a motionless doctor standing behind a table. Story 24. A female A-list celebrity met in Hawaii on a hike. She rolled her ankle and had a heat stroke. I stopped to help her. I had a med kit. Taped her ankle. Shared my water and snacks. Brought her to her car where her friends were waiting for her. I was totally shocked once I realized who she was. I left and did not ask for her number because I got intimidated. She drove off. The next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about how I blew my opportunity. I was disappointed in myself. 3 days before leaving, I was running on the road near Poipu. A Jeep pulls over in front of me. She steps out. I spent the next 2 weeks with her. Lost my job because I stayed with her. In 2017, I was on the same island with my wife and kids. Ran into her. My wife pulled my shirt and said, "That's the actress you told the story to me about. Prove your story," so I walked up, said hello. Story 25. I used to bartend and wait tables in the 80s. The number of women who would leave their number for you might surprise you. I left most of them alone, but once in a while, there would be some really surprisingly good-looking women leaving their number. Story 26. I did 2 sisters and both of their individual best friends once, all individually at separate times, and all of them know about it and were cool with it. I never would thought that possible. Edit. It happened over a course of about 2 months, and we all stayed friends.